Damn, I wish that I was streaming that race. That was a really fun race. Essentially, I don't know how to start a car when the lights go out. I was stuck in neutral, like wondering why is it not shifting into first. So I qualified in P2, then dropped down instantly to P6 right before turn 1, right at the beginning. And then slowly worked my way up. Thankfully, there was some chaos and a few overtakes that allowed me to get back up to P2. And the leader was several seconds ahead, like 6 seconds ahead. But slowly reeled him in. Final lap. Bada boom, bada bing. Now I see why people get hooked on this stuff, and I feel like I might as well, but... I've been doing... I actually have technically had my iRacing subscription since December of 2021. And I think I've done fewer than 10 races since then. Believe it or not. I'm just too damn busy. But I'm trying to make it a point to do this more because I've noticed that when I take some time away from iRacing, actually, first of all, I should say that there was a huge learning curve for me to actually get the car around a lap doing somewhat what I wanted it to do. Not entirely, but somewhat there. And it literally only happened earlier this year. I got a new PC, which you guys can see down there. Prior to that, I was running a 2080 that I built in, was it June or July of 2020, GG, because that's when the 30 series came out right after. And that was a huge jump in performance. But I had just built that PC, and I was doing VR at the time. I had a Valve Index. And the biggest thing for me was space, because everything, my desk, my bed, and my sim rig all fit in my one bedroom because I was sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with a buddy. And couldn't really have triple monitors, and even a single monitor I didn't want. I wanted VR because I want the peripheral vision. So I tried using it, but I guess the weight of it, how uncomfortable it was, all those things, I never really got motion sick, but I never really enjoyed using it. It felt like a chore. And normally when I have time to sim race, it's for 30 minutes at a time, if that. And just getting the VR set up and getting it comfortable and such just didn't... It just felt like a chore. And I didn't really use my sim rig much at all. Despite going all out and getting a P1X with the SimuCube 2 Pro, Asher Racing button box, have another Asher Racing Formula wheel, or GT wheel I should say. And I don't even know what I'm doing driving right now. Shifting into 6th over there. And then last year, about 2 years ago, I got these triple monitors. Triple 4K, Asus, I forget the exact model, but these are 32-inch, 144 hertz refresh rate, and some Dell whatever on the top here. And I was pretty hyped, but because I was using that old PC with the 2080, it couldn't power this, and I was playing at like 50 FPS, even with the game set at, minimum settings. And I would still have massive drop frames, like a second would go by, things are frozen, and the next thing you know, you're in the wall. So I didn't really use it much. But then this year, got the new PC. Took a while, of course, to get that 5090, because I didn't want to pay any markup, I wanted to get it MSRP. And now I feel like when I'm in a rhythm of using iRacing a couple times a week, I can get the car to do what I want it to do, but then I take a break. Let's say I think before, yesterday or day before, I'd gone maybe 2 months without using iRacing. And then it's like you have to relearn the whole thing all over again. And you feel completely incompetent. In fact, I know many people, a bunch of friends have come over and tried this out. Many people who are actually quite fast in real life will struggle on the sim, because if you're like me, you use G-forces, right? Your vestibular system in your inner ear to help you understand when you're getting some yaw. And for people that rely on the vestibular system to help them understand when they're at the limit of the car, going into VR and not having those G-forces can be quite an adjustment. But then there are other people I've noticed who, I mean, of course they still use their vestibular system when they're driving in real life, but in the sim, it looks like they're able to adapt and not really need the vestibular system as much. And rather than going with the vestibular system, they can instead rely on their vision. And I remember telling my friend, how do you tell those minute changes from vision? That's so subtle. I now rely on the steering wheel rather than vision to help me understand yaw in the sim. And I know other people who are quick in real life, tried out the sim, and they had the same struggle. They were incredibly slow, kept crashing in the sim because it is a learning curve. Very steep learning curve. So today, doing my first race in I don't know how many months. Must have been literally at least like 6 months. I can go into my results and actually verify that, but man, it feels good. Especially the competition of being in a race is a lot more fun than just practice. I said PBs, you should definitely do it in a different entry where you don't have other cars. This traffic's gonna slow us down, even though we're neck and neck with our PB of a 135.9. Oh! Nope, it wasn't the car's traffic getting in my way, it was just me getting in my own way. So now I have more motivation to use iRacing for a few reasons. Number one, I have a 5090, so I can actually use the sim at greater than 50 to 60 FPS and without massive drop frames, which is huge. In fact, I'm actually streaming from the same PC. You're technically supposed to have a second PC where you stream from just because better performance. Obviously, you're not asking a single PC to do both gaming and streaming. But the PC is powerful enough that for simplicity, I just have it all set up right here. Still giving you guys POV just because that's like what we have in the Jabalin Cars YouTube channel. And I want to see if I can use sim racing as a tool to improve my actual driver skill in real life. For those who don't know, I own a 2024 ND3 Mazda Miata. It's the club with the Brembo BBS Recaros, and I have a few mods. Notably, some one-way adjustable coilovers, some 17x8 wheels, and some new tires and a 215 section width. So obviously not going to be as quick as this MX-5 Cup car, but this is the closest thing we have in iRacing, and this car actually drives pretty similar to the real ND3 in real life. The main difference being that you get a ton of rotation on trail braking here. Part of that's going to be just the car setup, but part of that is also the asymmetric LSD that they added to the ND3 Miata, which actually results in greater stability at corner entry, less rotation on trail braking. Now, for anyone who's ever used the MX-5 in iRacing, you know that it gets a ton of rotation. Great tool to learn and hone trail braking. quite off the pace. That was a 137.2. Man, that last race was a lot of fun. Gotta do more races more often. Blew the apex. Of course, it's fun when things go your way, right? When they don't go your way, it's just frustrating. I need to also get those bezel-free kits installed. I actually installed them previously, but they always felt kind of misaligned, so I took them down. I'm trying to put them back up, because I know that really helps a lot with immersion. I did the same thing a couple laps ago. Get into the end of the year, reflecting on the year. I don't know if you guys do the whole like journaling prompts and reflection exercises. I like doing those every year. See what went well, what didn't, what to change next year, what to double down on. And this year has been an intense year. I have not worked this many hours in several years. I haven't worked this hard since my late 20s, honestly. I'm 35. But it's exciting. It's tough, but it's exciting, because when you're working hard and you can see your progress and you can see the plans you have, things falling together, even if you don't achieve your final goal, seeing progress made toward that goal, the building blocks getting put in place, I find that very exciting. I have a few templates that I've actually built over the years, gathered from different places, adopted and adapted, and added my own prompts, got some from others. And there's usually multiple domains. For me, over the last couple of years, business, entrepreneurship has been a big domain, but health and fitness has always been a pretty high priority as well. Actually just had my colonoscopy, which I have to do every 2 to 3 years because of my ulcerative colitis. Did that on Monday. Everything was clear, at least on gross exam. So they first use the camera, and based on just what the camera sees, they can tell you are you in deep remission or not, and then they do biopsies, send those to the lab, and then they tell you if you're in microscopic remission as well, which would be the goal. But started a new cholesterol medication, and it was hard to get insurance approval, but you know, I chatted with my doctor, went through all the reasons that he should suggest to the insurance company, and we were able to get that approved, which I was pretty stoked by. And I just remember being really excited. This was just a few days ago, and I was thinking, this is weird. Why am I so excited just to get on a cholesterol medication? But it felt like a big one, because it's a good drug. It's a PCSK9 inhibitor, and you know, given my genetics and familial hypercholesterolemia is what it's called, and very high Lp(a), it was a big win. So then I go through like fitness things, my VO2 max, my DEXA scan results, which I got recently, and they were quite depressing because I had a bout of food poisoning, then an inflammatory bowel disease flare, lost a lot of muscle, gained some fat, was pretty sedentary for, I shouldn't say sedentary, but I definitely wasn't exercising as intensely or as regularly for about a full month. So it felt good to get that back out. Getting back in the routine, it's so good for your mental health just to be regular with exercise. I don't know where you guys are in the world. Actually, I don't even know if anyone's watching right now on this live stream. I need to figure out how to get comments enabled. I have them somewhere on the screen. I think we only have like 24 subscribers right now anyways. So doubt anyone is here. Normally I like doing these practice sessions with friends. We just shoot the shit, We push each other, compare times. I was having problems with the other day was just running iRacing. I was stuck at like 70 to 90 FPS, and I was decreasing the graphics quality. I was like, what is going on? I couldn't figure it out. I just restarted the computer, and everything was fixed. And even the live stream was just like super choppy, like 2 FPS on the live stream, so I had to delete that live stream immediately. It's like now we are back in order. I would love to get to the point where I can start setting PBs while talking and driving, because obviously I'm a lot slower right now. I'm running 37s and 38s while speaking, whereas when I'm just driving without needing to think and without speaking, then I'm hitting 137, actually no, 136s and even a 135.9. I wish that trail braking in real life was as easy as it is in iRacing with the Miata, because it's just so, like, you can just get so much rotation with your pedals. More so just the brake rather than the throttle, because the MX-5 is a bit underpowered. When I hit that sausage, that little rim, that lip on it, just kind of messes with the car.
Right side, car stop on the right, clear. Slow car ahead.
There's a lot of traffic in this section now. Uh-oh, what are you doing, buddy? Oh boy. I really wish they had my local track in iRacing, which is Spring Mountain, out here near Las Vegas. Technically it's in Pahrump, Nevada. And Assetto Corsa, you know, some user mods, there are a few different, I mean, I think actually it's only one version of Charleston Peak at Spring Mountain, but yeah, just really got into Assetto Corsa's physics. It always felt super boaty to me, and maybe I just need to play with the settings, but I could never get it to feel as natural as I wanted. What I'm finding is that some minimum frequency of iRacing is required to get the car to do what you want it to do, at the very least. And I don't know what that minimum frequency is, but I remember, I think I actually started using iRacing a lot more last year, in 2024. Even though I had the 2080, I think I was just trying to power through the low FPS, or I don't know what I did, but I looked at my stats using Garage 61, and I spent only 30 minutes per week on iRacing over the course of the year. So what's that? Half an hour times 52 weeks. So around 26 hours over the whole year. And I don't think that was really enough to maintain and improve much. It was more just to like get familiar and get the car to do what you want it to do. But I think to improve, you gotta probably put in more than 30 minutes a week. Maybe like a couple hours per week, spread across at least 2 or 3 sessions. I also noticed that my endurance is just pretty turd. I start getting tired and getting slow faster than my friends. I'll set my PB in the first 10 minutes, and then after that, I just won't be able to hit it. Whoa, whoa, whoa!
You got a slow car on the left.
That was a very ugly save. I think they changed the tire models, right? Because in the past, whenever you had a slide, it was almost impossible to catch. It was like full grip or no grip. Now I think it is a bit easier to catch. One thing I'm wondering, I don't know if any of you guys know much about gaming PCs and why this happens, but my left monitor will sometimes be flickering. Even when I start the PC, it'll just be flickering and acting funny. Ooh, I think maybe my tires are getting a bit hot, because normally I can carry more speed there and be full throttle. But yeah, this will like start juddering and stuttering and just be kind of slow and choppy, even when I'm not in iRacing. But I notice it sometimes when I'm in iRacing. Right now, it seems to be fine. I have G-Sync enabled. All three monitors are identical. They all have the same refresh rate, same resolution. They're all using the I forget what it's called when you have like the virtual single monitor, the three things combined. Surround, NVIDIA Surround. I have that enabled. And hey Siri, sim room lights 80%. There we go, a little bit brighter in here. Hey Siri, sim room lights 100%. Yeah, so trying to figure out what's going on with that monitor, and I was considering sending it in for a warranty repair because I thought that, you know, maybe just an issue with the monitor itself. Maybe I should try swapping the cables, see if it could be cable related, although I think that's unlikely. Trail brake rotation, such money. When you get it right in real life, it feels so good, although a lot harder for me to get it just right in real life. I feel like this MX-5 makes it so much easier than iRacing. I just need to set this up. I've had this thing installed for more than a year. My Stream Deck here, and I literally have not even programmed it with a single button. Same with my handbrake here. Got that for drifting because I was obsessed with drifting when I was a kid. Utterly obsessed. Did RC drifting in middle school. Put little ABS black plastic pipes, put them on the wheels in my RC car. Team Associated TC10 all-wheel drive, and high school still thought drifting was super cool. Was obsessed with Initial D, of course. I've done multiple drift classes, 2 drift classes actually, in real life, and figured it'd be a lot of fun to do it in a sim. But I guess maybe just like all the process of like modding AC, which I think AC is kind of the de facto I've seen for drifting, but maybe there's some other ones too, and I hear mixed things that it's not that realistic after all, and I do care a lot about realism. I don't want to learn bad habits in a sim. But just like the time, you know, if I barely have enough time to spend 30 minutes to an hour on the sim, I don't want to spend multiple hours just setting the thing up, downloading. You know, I forget what that program's called. The thing where you have the custom cars and custom mags and custom packages. Something shader? I don't know. I had it installed on my old PC. Didn't get very far with it. one thing I'm considering doing with this sim racing channel is actually using it to hash out some video ideas, because as you guys may know, if you found me through the Jabal and Cars YouTube channel, I like doing these videos where I'm not really reviewing a car, but we call it a my take. It's my thoughts on some unrelated but usually adjacent topic to car enthusiasts or the demographic who tend to be car enthusiasts. And I have, you know, I'll have like a little notepad on my phone. Whenever I get an idea, I'll just jot it down and then think about what I want to say later and then hit the record button. I could even hash some out maybe during these sim sessions. One of them is actually like the flavor of car that you enjoy. So I haven't really thought this one through much. But I was just reflecting that I was super happy with my Scion FRS, and I had that for 9 years, and I adored that car. And then I got the GR86, which I had for a year and a half, and admittedly I didn't love it as much because the steering got worse and the throttle was also just not as natural. But I kept that for a year and a half, and actually closer to 2 years than a year and a half, honestly. And then I replaced that with the Amira. And later that year I also bought my current Miata. And it got me thinking, like, the flavor of car, like those cars seem somewhat different. The GR86 Miata quite similar, but the Amira seems like something totally different because it's mid-engine and a lot more powerful. It's a different price bracket. But actually, I think it's kind of the natural progression if you enjoyed the FRS, and lesser so the GR86, because I feel like the Amira gives you something very similar in terms of you're focused more on driver feel and feedback and communication, more so than outright performance. And it was really Amira or GT4 for me. I guess I technically was considering GTS 4.0 as well, but I knew that I would rather just go for the full GT4. Part of the reason I did not want to go GT4 was because I didn't feel comfortable tracking a car that was over 100 grand. Like, owning a car is one thing, but then tracking it and the consumables and the insurance and just the stress of, you know, a car of that value getting damaged on the track is something else. So I guess in that case I was thinking more GTS 4.0 versus Amira, and then after driving examples of both, I was like, well, even if the Porsche has the better engine and is quicker on the track and is more composed and things like that, driving around street, it doesn't give me that same level of communication and feel and feedback that the Lotus does. And that doesn't mean that someone who chooses the Porsche is wrong or that it's not a good option. I think it's a fantastic option. They're both actually fantastic options. I think for many people, myself included, it's not always an easy choice. But it got me thinking, with those flavors of cars, what is the next logical progression? Like, what would I want to track next if I've enjoyed the FRS and now the Miata and on track? Taking the Amira out my one weekend at Spring Mountain, and they're just way too soft. And I could get coilovers and make it better on track, but then it loses its charm on the street because, as I'm learning with the Miata, obviously you can't have the best of both worlds. You have to optimize for one. And the Miata is getting less and less comfortable on the road. It's getting better and better on track. And the Amira I find so magical on the road because it is one of these cars that it is fun driving slow and fast, which is rare. Usually cars encourage you to push them hard in order to get, you know, the most fun out of them, like with my FRS and GR86. You could not have fun driving those things slow. But it does that without beating you up, which I have very rarely seen with other cars. Oh. And I just adore that car. But the question is, what is the next step for track? And I was like, well, for under 60 or 70k, I can't really think of anything I'd rather have than my Miata. Because I enjoy lightweight, front engine, rear wheel drive. Although it doesn't have to be. The only thing I can really think of is maybe a Lotus Elise or Exige. I think that would be a step up, although those cars are much less livable on the street, so driving to and from the track, assuming you're not going to be trailering it, is not always going to be fun. And there are many cars that are much, much faster than a Miata, things like a Toyota Supra, but I need more feel and feedback to really enjoy a car. I guess there are certain people on track who care a lot more about lap times. There are other people that care much more about the feel and the fun and connection to the vehicle. And there's people that care about both. And I think I'm on the side of caring more about connection, more so than lap times. And I thought that many people were like that. And that, you know, I was around the middle, but I do think I'm more on that end because my good friend Fenton from the Zygreen channel, he also cares a lot about a car communicating, but even for him, he was like, you know, when looking at his NC1 NSX, whether or not to buy it, part of the reason he did not choose an Amira is he felt like the performance level and the speed and the lap times just weren't quick enough for the price point. I was like, oh, interesting, like that never even occurred to me. Not even in the slightest. And different priorities. Again, nothing, no right or wrong here. But when I think about cars that I would be excited to drive on track after the Miata, first of all, I'm going to keep the Miata for at least another year, maybe longer, because I think there's a lot more to extract from it. Had a really great session at Laguna Seca to close out the season, and that video will be dropping sometime in January. Essentially got down to 145.5, I think it was, and yeah, I remember telling Fenton, because I asked him and Alex, because both of those guys have been to Laguna Seca dozens and dozens of times, and I've been there 3-4 times. And I said, hey guys, what lap time should I be shooting for? I don't really have a good reference here. They're like, well, on your car with your RT615K pluses and a 215 section width, and you know your one-way street coilovers, you should shoot for like a 149. Like try to be sub 150. And it took me a couple tries and a couple, I should say, events. I was able to get to 148.6. I was pretty happy about that. And then I got new tires and proper 200 tread wear tires, not these El Cheapo super durable but super low grip RT 615K plus tires, which are slightly lower grip than even Michelin PS4S. They're that low grip. So I got the P1s by Vitor. And I asked the guys again, hey, like, what should I be shooting for now with quicker tires? I'm like, well, with those tires on a Miata, they was like, normally they'd say 2 seconds, but maybe 1.5 seconds quicker because, you know, the Miata is lower on power, and, you know, 1.5 is 2 seconds. So if you got a 148.6 previously, getting a 146.6 or a 147.1 would be the equivalent of that time. So I set that out as my target, but I was just getting into a good rhythm with the car, and I hit a 148, and I kept chipping away like 5/10 lap after lap, and it was like 4 laps in a row, just slowly chipping away, and I got down to the 145s, and when I came back in, and I told Fenton, he rushed to my car to look at my aim solo to be like, really? And you know, I wasn't sure what to make of the time, and you know, to an actual professional driver, they'd be like, oh dude, you should be doing a 142 in that car, or whatever it is. But the fact that Fenton had that reaction made me feel good, because like, okay, that means that that is a quicker time than he was expecting, which either means it is a decently quick time for the current car setup, or my buddy Fenton just has very little faith in my driving ability to be like, oh shit, you're actually not totally incompetent, only partially incompetent. For him to be surprised and have to check the lap timer. So that was fun. That was a good memory. But yeah, I know that Randy Popst or one of these other quick drivers, even just like some of these guys at the time trial that were just really fast guys, would be able to shave off multiple seconds even from my PB. So it's not like I think that that is an incredible time by any means. So much easier to keep your thumbs out, have a thumbless grip, when you're wearing gloves. You know, on street, like when I'm doing canyon reviews, it's so hard to do that because you feel like your hand is going to slip sometimes. Unless you're wearing gloves. I'm not going to wear Alpine Sword gloves when I'm just driving a car on the street, obviously. Feels good though to have a sim rig like this in my house. I remember as a kid just wishing to have one of these. It's actually my first rig. I worked really hard and had a good year in 2020. I figured I needed to reward myself, and I was between getting a new car, but I lived in an apartment complex, and I was like, you know what? Getting a new car while living, parking my car on a carport and paying $800 a month for this apartment is probably not wise. I should probably first buy a house. That seems like the smarter thing to do. So I said, you know what, let me just buy a sim rig rather than a car, because sim rig is obviously a lot cheaper. All in all, the PC, everything, VR headset, all the stuff here, I think it came out to just under 10K. I think it was maybe like 8K or 9K, something like that. I think closer to 8K, honestly. Oh, why did I go first? Give me a second. And I've had this thing ever since. And it's pretty awesome that I'm able to use this now in the comfort of my own home. I'm feeling very grateful for that. As a kid, whenever I went to like an auto show and saw the huge line, I always wanted to do it, but you know, being with my dad or whatever and just not having time, or he didn't have the patience or whatever, you know, as like a 10-year-old, you're not gonna have the opportunity, so cool to finally have this. And to finally have a good PC as well to run triples is also such a relief. Let me tell you, doing triple 4Ks with the 2080 is not good, and obviously I knew that the 2080 couldn't handle it, and the plan was always that I would first set up the triples and then shortly after upgrade the PC, but when the 50 series came out, it still took a long time, several months. Had to sign up for all those alerts, pay monthly, and they'll text you when a new thing comes out, and I would race to go buy one. I got hit by a scammer on Amazon where I thought I got the card, and then they said, oh, via the seller message, go on this website and put in your payment information, even though you've already paid once. And it's like a very obvious scam. And then you see that account gets banned, and you get refunded, and it's, you know, shitty people doing shitty things. So, eventually got this 3090 MSI, and now able to enjoy some racing. Feeling quite fortunate, feeling quite lucky to be able to do that. How are we doing on time? Oh man, it's 9:20. Alright, well, to whoever watches this, if anyone watches this, and if anyone gets to this point, then I hope you enjoyed this. Experimenting with this new format, trying to figure out what trying to get into a groove. Experimenting with the format and seeing what I want to talk about, what I like, what I don't like, what feels right, what feels weird. And this is cool though. It's gotta have a little stream of consciousness while doing some slow laps around VIR. MX-5. Leave a comment, shoot me a DM on Instagram. And thanks for tuning in.